There we are. How was that? Is that working? I think it's working. I've done this for a little while. Um, is it working? I think so. I think so. So here we are. Happy. I don't really do Christmas, so um, I've had a few text messages from people, and um, to be fair, I've not really responded to any of them because I don't really do Christmas. But I'll be sending New Year's messages to people, and that's how I roll really. Because Christmas to me is just another day. Because as we know, when you are not seeing your children over Christmas, it's a bit shit. But there we are. So I'm doing this today because I was a bit miffed earlier. I'm doing my own thing, keeping my head down, trying to do what I do. And I thought to myself, oh, let me just check my. Got a comment on YouTube, and I was like, oh, let me just check that, and it was a fucking troll again. And I'm like, gosh, now I don't want to bang on about trolls. Don't want to give them like the airtime, but I thought what I'll do is I will do a video to highlight the many benefits there are of being a McKenzie friend, but also the disadvantages, the negative side of it as well. So I've got a big heart, and people may argue differently, and I do things. Well, I'm not conventional. I'm not conventional, but I'm very good at what I do, and I'm probably one of the best McKenzie friends in England. In fact, I am one of the best McKenzie friends in England and Wales. You can quote me on that. I don't mind, and people can disagree. I don't mind because I am, because I've helped more people successfully than anyone I know. Put it like that. So I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit on what is a unique role in the world that many people do not realize exists until you go into family court. Basically, I provide moral support as well as representation. Not representation. Sometimes I get right of audience, and I've got a couple of cases now where I've got right of audience, and I can speak directly to the judge on behalf of my service users. But I do more than the traditional sort of McKenzie friend. My role has evolved, and by the end of this video or this live, you will see how much it has evolved. Because what I'm not going to be tolerating anymore or accepting anymore are the trolls. Because I'm just going to air you out, man. Because there's a line, man, and I'm just here doing my thing. And a lot of one of the biggest downsides of being a McKenzie friend and doing things the way I do them is because I care. I genuinely have a heartfelt passion and care, because I don't want people not to see their kids, and their kids deserve to see or have relationships with their parents, both mum and dad, providing it's safe to do so. And when I say providing it's safe to do so, the biggest negative, the biggest downside is when you're working on a case, and you're getting to know someone and that sort of shit, and their story is a bit iffy and whatnot, and then it turns out that they've been doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing, like really bad stuff, like paedophilia, basically, yeah. And then they don't get what they want in court, and then you're like, and I distance myself from them. I'm like, well, that's a bit much for me, so I'm not going to go down that road anymore. And then they've got the audacity to comment on my posts and saying, don't trust this person, don't trust that, can't rely on this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, literally, I could break you with the truth. Yeah, I could break you with why you haven't got contact with your kid. I could literally destroy it. And there are so many people that do this. There are so many people, not so many people, because I don't have that. It's the trolls, the minimal trolls are the people who shout the loudest. And the reason they're not having a relationship with their children is because they're not suitable. It's not safe. Yet they want to blame me for them for their indiscrepancies, right? So that's the first thing. So I'm not gonna be playing nice anymore going into 2024. I'll get a text on the review. Oh, I don't know. I can't see you. Can't see all these people. But I can't see your names. But I can help anyone who needs help. I can help. I'm just seeing comments now. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thank you. So that's where my head's at. Yeah. So when you've got a big heart, like I've got a proper, genuine, heartfelt passion to try and help people, and I have to take what people say to me as the truth. Yeah, I'm not here to argue with them. I'm not going to say to them what's right and wrong. Over the course of the case, as the case unfolds, we see what the truth is, and we see where the land lies. And when things go really, really tits up, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm distancing myself, and I've spent. People say I charge a lot. I don't charge a lot. In fact, the amount of work that I put in, right, the amount of hours I do, the things I do, and this is what another thing we're going to lead on to in a minute as well. The things I do for people, and how the depth of care I go into. I answer my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning, being there. Like, literally, I've got this one guy. This really, really upset me. Right, this one guy who I spent hours, at least 8 hours a day, on the phone to him, going through all sorts of stuff, and then ultimately, at the end of it all, something happens, and this and that, and whatever else. It's like, hang on a minute, I'm asking for a little bit of something back, and then it's not good enough. I'm the bad person. I said, what did I say to him? I said, oh, I have not billed you for the amount of hours I spent on the phone. Oh, well, I would have had more respect for you if you did bill me. Hang on a minute. I've got a heart. I'm being genuine. I'm being just who I am. Like, and that's what I'll continue to do. But ultimately, when you have got a big heart and you do care and you are trying to help people, when they get mended, because when we go through this process, when we go through this, we are broken, and you never really get fixed. You never really get fixed. You never really go back to who you were, because this breaks you and it changes you. Now I've got one guy who I bent over backwards for, literally bent over backwards for, and then he was, oh yeah, we had a bit of a fallout. I don't take no shit from no one. I don't give a damn if it's Mike Tyson or anything. I will. There's a line. You talk that I've got an ex-wife that spoke to me really, really badly and treated me really badly. I didn't. I'm not talking about that situation, but I've got a line, and I tolerate a certain amount, and I accept a certain amount of abuse from my clients when they're going through a shitty time, because they are hurting and they're grieving and they don't know whether they're coming or going. They don't understand the system. And then you're on the phone to them, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. A little thing goes wrong. Tiny little thing goes wrong. Doesn't impact the case. Doesn't impact the case at all. In fact, the case is actually better in a more advanced position than it would be if people weren't using my services, because I managed to get this guy before we even got into court. I managed to get this guy contacted in a contact center, knowing full well that when CAFCAS get hold of him, they're not going to be recommending contact based on the history, based on the allegations, blah blah blah. So we get into the contact center. We get moving forward, and I coach him and support him, making sure that he's doing everything that he needs to do, not answering things, but writing, communicating for him, sending him communications that he has an idea or an inspiration to send to the solicitors or send to his ex-missus. So they use all that sort of stuff. And then tiny little thing goes wrong, but doesn't impact his case in a negative way at all. And next thing you know, it's the end of the world. Hang on a minute, have you forgotten all the shit that I've already done for you? Have you forgotten that you wouldn't be in a position now if it wasn't for me? Oh, they do though, but they do, because when they are, and this is what frustrates me more, right? especially with the men, we don't know when we're being abusive, right? And the majority of men do not realise that what they do when they're in an argument and how they react and how they respond will be considered as abusive and will go down as abuse in court. So when I'm there telling them and guiding them and whatnot, because you're not allowed to give legal advice, and I don't give legal advice, I let them know the consequences of what potentially could happen. And people change. They come to me, they're broken. They come to me and they're broken, and I help build them up and get them back to where they need to be. And the people the people who are dickheads, basically, don't value me as a person and don't value the work that I've done for them, and therefore then they turn to start abusing me, which is one of the biggest frustrations when you have a heart and you try and you really want to help people, and it's like, what the fuck, literally. And so now moving forward, and I saw this post on YouTube, because I'm doing more on YouTube than what I am anywhere else, because I want to build up the audience there, because Facebook seems to be a little bit more corrupt. And this is what in the group that we've got, with 6,000 odd people in there. That it's been now called, was it narcissistic abuse group. That's a bit frustrating because international parent alienation and narcissistic abuse support group, right? This group was created a couple of years ago, and what it has got in here are people that are moles, people that don't belong in this group. So you have to be careful what you're posting and how you're posting. So what I'm going to do to combat this is I'm creating and it will go up in the next couple of days. I'm creating a group that is going to not be on Facebook. That will be safe to. We're going to keep this group. We're going to keep this group because this is where people come and whatnot, and it's quite good to have. But I'm going to take the people who actually want immediate support and want immediate help, and there's going to be a group that's off Facebook on my own, in my own group, in my own software, and we're going to be running a group from there. That way we know it's safe and people can speak in with freedom, because the purpose of that group was for people to come into who are going through difficult times, where it's a private group. People are going through difficult times, and there's a place for them to get advice, support, release, be angry, whatever the case might be. But then what we've got now is we've got narcissistic ex-partners in this group that are using using what's being posted in the group and using it against people who've got like court cases going on, and that is not right. That's not right. That for me is stalking. It's abuse in itself, because you're not letting the person grieve. You're not letting the person get over what they need to get over. And because you're going through family court, everything you do when you're going through court is scrutinized. Anything you do with your children is scrutinized. Everything you do, you've got to think. The court, Kafkas, the children are not their children, so that's not their child. Yeah. So where I was my biggest example was when I had a guy who said, "Yeah, there's no school this weekend. Yay, it's a weekend, no school," and then he got criticised and condemned for that. And then I had one the other day where it was, what was it? He said it was boring. Where he lived, he said it was a boring. Where he lived, he said it's boring, and he changed the name of where he lives to being. He added boring into the title, and that was criticised and that was condemned. And it's like, whoa, like literally, it shows that you're disregarding the mum and blah blah blah. It's like, hang on, man. Literally, we can't have relationships with our children. Everything you say is scrutinized. Basically, everything you do is scrutinized. Yeah. So, thank you for everyone who's done a review. I've sent people reviews. Thank you for people who've done that. And thank you for the kind words in the thing. How can you help me? My ex has mentally abused me for the last 4 years, and my son as a weapon. I don't know what to do because I'm just drained. That happens, man. I was going when I was going through the end of my case. I got to the end of my case. I got contact, and I just didn't give a damn for anything else after that. So I just let everything go and let it all go, and because it drains you. It does drain you. And after I think it was my seventh case in court with my ex in 2020, I just didn't give a damn. I was just like, whatever, I don't care anymore. And I ended up getting an equal shared care agreement, because she behaved so badly. But even though I was acting like I didn't care, at the end of the case, at the end of the final hearing, I was just walking around Eltham till like 4 o'clock in the morning, crying, and my arms being lifted up in the air, so because the weight had been lifted off my shoulders. So how can I help you? I can help you. I need to understand your situation, but I can help you go through court, and I can help you. I can guide you through what to do. And this is where I'm going to be changing. This is where I'm going to be changing what I'm doing. So, yeah, my title's a McKenzie Friend, but what I'm building in background. I'm building something that's going to give us more. That's going to give more than just what McKenzie Friend does, because I'm turning it into a coach. So I'm already a coach as it is, but I'm going to be coaching people deal with parental alienation. So beyond court, so not just court, it's going to be dealing with when you get out of court and you are dealing with your ex who is not working with you and not working in the interest of the child, but is doing things that only you will know is abuse because it's covert abuse. And I'm going to help people do all that stuff as well. So there's a whole coaching program that I'm building, which will be supporting dads predominantly is what I'm looking at, and I don't care if people get offended by it. I'm supporting dads. It will help mums as well, and I'll help grandparents, and I'll help whoever I need to help. But my target is helping dads, and that's going to be opening an online store, or it's going to be called the Man Shop. Basically, it's called the Man Shop. And if you do online now, it will take you to my website, which is because I'm building something else in the background. So it's the manshop.link. That's the name. That's the link. So it's www.themanshop.link, and that will take you, when it's live, it will take you to what I'm building. And it's not perfect, but it's going to have everything that a man needs to rebuild their life after they are going through family breakdown, and that will be for everything. So it's going to be an online store for people to purchase stuff and like from Amazon and whatnot, and there's going to be everything anyone's going to need, and I'm building it all up, and it's going to be called the manshop.link, and yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. That's what I'm working in the background of. And this is the other thing. I've done a lot in the last couple of years since breaking my leg and that bike accident. I have been doing a lot of self-help and a lot of online learning. I've been catching up on my BA Honours in Law online stuff, Open University. I've started doing my psychology stuff online as well, learning on Open University stuff. And I've done lots of marketing stuff and lots of online learning about how computers and shit, because that's the way the world is going. So I've been building courses, and this is another thing that pisses me off. I had someone the other week, and I don't give a fuck. I don't want to offend people, but I'm offended by people coming to me, and this is what really does my head in, right? I'm offended by. I've done lots of online courses. I don't finish every single course. But a year later, I'm not going to go back to the person I bought the course off and say, "Can I get my money back?" I'm not entertaining that shit. I'm not entertaining it. If I don't finish a course, that's my own fault as far as I'm concerned. And if people and that is how it is. You don't come back to me a year later and say, "Oh, I've not done this, so I want my money back." That ain't going to work for me. I don't care. Especially when I can see that people have started courses. You've started the shit and then you haven't finished it. That's not my problem. That's another thing that people wouldn't. It's against the law. It's against the law to beat up a solicitor, right? If you fight a solicitor, if you get into a violent altercation with a solicitor, a legal solicitor, which I will be maybe one day, you go to prison for it. If you beat up a judge, you go to prison for it. Yeah, it's okay for people to threaten me and troll me. I just think it's jokes. And then people who do that, the people who do that, you wonder what you think that's going to help you see your kids. Because again, I could do stuff that would literally ruin people's cases. I haven't, and I've threatened it, and I've been pissed off, and I've got a bit of an impulsive mouth. But I've not done anything that would ever threaten anyone's relationship with their children, even if I don't believe they should be seeing their children. That's not for me to choose. I'm not a judge. I'm not someone who's going to be judging people. I don't judge anyone because I think we all make mistakes. We're all human beings. As long as it's not touching kids, that's the level I can't forgive or go back on. And there's a few people that have been trolling me. Let me just think of a few initials. NJB. Yeah, and if you see anyone, and if you look at anyone, and the initials are NJB, it's November Jackson Bravo. Look out for those initials. Might be a paedophile. Have you forgot the review? Finally got the girls back to it. No, look, people don't have to worry about doing reviews. Don't look. If you do, you do. You don't. It's not the end of the world. Look, it is what it is. I send a lot of shit out to people, and if people respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't. It's. I know people have got busy lives, and again, I'm not someone who's going to be judging. I don't care. I'm focusing on myself. The only person I compete with is me. I'm the only person that has to live with myself. I'm the person that has to. I'm the one that has a conscience, and this is what pissed me off with someone the other week. When something went wrong, I said, "You know what? I was let down. I was let down by someone that I put trust in, but then it falls on me. to make sure that I take responsibility for that. And I said, you know what, something's gone wrong. Yeah, take responsibility. I was really upset. I was devastated. I was in tears. And more so because the person I asked to help me had let me down, and I didn't think that person would let me down. But then it shows how people just are self-centered and about themselves. And then I said, I offered him a certain amount of money back, and he said no. And I said, well, I'm giving you more than what I'm being advised that I should even have to give you. Not good enough. I'm like, oh, fuck it, take me to court. So he's taking me to court, and I'm like, well, good. And again, I've got a clear conscience with that. I would try my hardest to make sure that things go smoothly, and I do a lot of work pre-court and with people. You find your average McKenzie friend, they would not do what I do. They would not coach you. They would not give you the answers. And in fact, I can tell you for sure, because it's where is it? Let's talk about the heart of the matter. The emotional investment as a McKenzie friend. You often work closely with clients during some of the most stressful and vulnerable periods of their lives. Yeah, it's becomes impossible not to care. It does become impossible not to care, because if you have a heart and if you have a soul, then you're going to be emotionally attached to the person who you can see grieving or who you can see hurting. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to be emotionally involved with the service user. In fact, you're not at all. And that's why solicitors are cold-faced, stony-faced, because they're not emotionally involved with the case. That you are just a number to them. You're just a number, and you are just a case, and you're just money in their pocket. That's all it is. And that's why solicitors will encourage conflict rather than resolution, because they are seeing you as pound signs. Whereas I have fixed cost services because I want to get in, out, and whatever else job done, and move forward and help you progress with your life. That's the reality. That's why solicitors are stone. That's why I call them snakes, because they don't have the emotional investment as what I do. And as a McKenzie friend, you're not supposed to get emotionally involved. Not emotionally involved, but I don't get emotionally involved, but emotionally attached to the person. I built up a professional relationship with my service users, and it's about helping them through the darkest times of their life. Because going through breakup, finding that you are in a relationship that you were never loved in, that you were being cheated on but you couldn't see, or maybe you were being abusive yourself and you didn't realize it because the relationship was wrong, and you were being targeted, but without even realizing you were being targeted. You can react, and I'm the absolute best at reacting without. I've had to do a lot of work on myself, reacting or not responding to things that I impulsively would previously have responded to. I have to always make sure that I take a step back before saying anything or doing anything or even reacting at all, because now what I've found is silence is the biggest answer, and they'll tell you that, and women will tell you that when you're doing the old online dating. They're like, well, no reply is a reply, and that's what happens in relationships. That's what helped me realize that when women leave us in relationships, they leave us obviously 6 months, 12 months before emotionally, before they've left us physically. But they don't tell us. They don't tell you that they've left you. They don't tell you they don't want to be with you anymore, or maybe they do, but you ignore it. But they don't, 9 times out of 10, they don't blatantly come out and say, yeah, I don't want to be with you anymore. Let's just put it over. Doesn't happen, and then you end up trying to fight for your relationship that is not there. So the emotional investment can both be a powerful motivator and a heavy burden to bear. So you've got to navigate the thin lines of legal advice. Yeah, there's legal advice because you're not supposed to give legal advice, and there's just coaching, I'd call it, because I'm not too sure what I do, if it's legal advice I give or if it's not. So one of the trickiest parts of being a McKenzie friend is apparently towing the line between support and unauthorized legal advice. That's a fine line, but I can only base it on what I do, and I suppose I do on occasions give consequences as to what might happen. And I do, and I'm very good at predicting outcomes. Where there is, we're there to assist and not supposed to advise, but I'm human. The line can be sometimes blurred when you are deeply invested in your client's case, and you can see the pitfalls that they can't. But that won't stop me from saying, you're going to do that, you're going to fuck up here, you're going to do that, that's a fuck up there. Because you don't understand how the detail in which people go into, the courts go into, the judges go into, with every single word that you say. So let's just be clear as well. When you own your shit, and that's one of my behavioral blueprint for success in family court, when you own your shit, there will be a consequence to you owning your shit. Yeah, you have to realize that you're not going to be given a chocolate biscuit, right? So if you've done something wrong, you should always own it, because it shows self-reflection, and it shows that you are able to learn from your previous errors if there's been an error. And when you are in a relationship that is one-sided and it's loved, and it's not loved by, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, is what I say. You're looking for love in all the wrong places, and that ends up causing you a lot of problems, because you have the everything you do then turns into abuse without you even realizing. Yeah. Hi, Jason. Hi, I can't see your faces. I can't see your name, but hello, thank you, hello. Genuinely cares. I do genuinely care. I'm not perfect, but I do genuinely care. Which brings us to the emotional labor, the unseen effort that goes into managing the processing emotions, both ours and the clients. It's a term traditionally associated with customer service or caregiving, but it's very much a part of the job that I do, and it does take on its toll. The toll, it can be insidious, creeping into our lives. We may not immediately recognize it, but it does. I get upset. The other week when I had multiple cases going on, and some went the way I wanted to do, and some didn't go too good. And I ended up just crying. I ended up crying because I ended up feeling their pain. I feel their pain. I feel it. And I suppose that's one thing I've got that many people don't have. I can feel their shit. I can feel the hurt that they feel. And that is not nice, I suppose. It's not nice if I can feel that, but I can also feel their happiness. And that's the thing as well, when I've got people that have adopted me into their families. And, I stick around with people after court cases have concluded, and I help people, like I say, and that's where I'm going in with the coaching stuff that I'm doing. I'm building the coaching that I do. I swear, like you pay, if you look on the internet, if you look on people who have thought things out properly, and I've not thought none of this shit out properly at all. I started doing this, was it at the start of the first lockdown? I started doing this as a career, I suppose, as a full-time job. And it was only then, I mean, I was doing it, I've been doing it for 10 years, going through it myself and helping occasionally, and helping the odd person, and doing like about 20 cases a year, if that. But I was doing it in my own spare time, and I was doing it in between, and that's what got me off the alcohol. That's what, I don't drink alcohol anymore, but I don't drink it the way I used to, and that's what got me off everything, and that's what kept me sober. And that has turned into my drug, and now it's turned into my full-time job. But I didn't think about how I was going into this and building it as a business, and I don't see it as a business. I see it as something I enjoy doing, and something I like helping people. But the reality is, if I'd have thought about this clearly and put a plan in place a long time before I started just implementing it, I would have turned what I do into coaching. Some of the cases when I first started doing this, like literally, someone paid me like £300 for a whole case, and I was like, wow. Like, I looked back at how much I've done for that person over the years, and I ended up paying them to work for them. But again, I don't mind doing that. But then it's very upsetting and it's very frustrating when I go to that person and I might say, "Oh, can you do me a favor here? Can you do that for me?" And it's fucking nothing at all. And I don't do things with the expectation of getting anything back. But I do things but sometimes I might need a little bit of favor here and a little bit of favor there. You just get nothing. So I don't ask, and that's why I don't ask anyone anymore for any help. People say, "Oh, you don't ask for help." You're like, no, I don't, because I'm fed up with people saying no, and I'm not very good at taking compliments. I'm shit at taking compliments. But the reason I'm shit at taking compliments is because one day someone might be saying you're brilliant, and then something doesn't go right down the road, and then they're your worst enemy. Again, that shows how small-minded and narrow-minded people are, because maybe it's just me that looks at life like this. I had an argument. The person that let me down dealing with this client, I got over that. I started speaking to him and everything the next day and whatnot, and it was just like, I'm not gonna. We learn from it, we move on. But then when I thought about things, I'm thinking to myself, hang on a minute, I'm gonna have to pay out something here. And I've said to this guy, I said, "Oh, you're gonna pay that, aren't you? You're gonna pay it." And he's like, "You being serious? Well, why would I pay it?" So I was like, "Fuck that! I don't need friends like that. I don't need friends like that. I don't need people around me. I've survived my whole life, like, without people, without anyone. Actually, I've learned from a lot of people, and I learned from everyone that I cross paths with, and I'm pleased with who I am. I'm proud of who I am, and there's nothing that gives me more satisfaction than helping people, and making sure we get to the end of their cases. And over 80%, 83% of the time, 82% of the time, we get it right, and we get what the service user's asking for. But there's a lot of the time, a lot of the time, it doesn't cut it, in terms of they wouldn't cut it without should I say, they wouldn't cut it without me giving them the advice. Sometimes though, we lose where we could be based on our own ignorance at the final couple of hearings, because you're always being watched, And I would even go as far as to say, if you're thinking about going through family court, and when I went through it all, I still believe today that I would have had my house back. I would have had my house. I would have had my daughter. I would have had everything. But my daughter phoned me up after with a 2-day final hearing, and my daughter phoned me up, and on at the end of the first day, my ex-wife must have known that I was in the driver's seat for that, and she got my daughter to call me. My daughter said she wants to live with her mum, so I was like, okay, yeah, fine. So we went into court the next day, and I just said, look, my daughter wants to live with her mum. That's what's going to happen. And that's what I did. And I did that on the basis that I would hope that my ex would just see some sensible and start trying to co-parent with me. She didn't. She hasn't, and she still hasn't to this day now. I don't hold that against her. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to be angry. Can't be bothered to be upset. Can't be bothered to hold hate against anybody, because life's too short. But what I will be doing is, people trolling me will be named and shamed, and I can back up everything I've got with evidence of documents and shit. And I don't care if they want to take me to court, because I'm tired of people talking rubbish about me, like literally talking shit. They forget what I've done for them, and they forget. Your ex brainwashed your daughter, and one day your daughter will say, "No, my ex hasn't brainwashed my daughter. Me and my daughter have got a brilliant relationship. Me and my daughter are. I've made the decision for my daughter. So rather than put my daughter in a situation where she has to choose to come and see me, where I've got a court order that says equal shared care, 1 week on, 1 week off, with recitals in there saying that Lila doesn't have to, if she doesn't want to spend a week with me, then she has to make at that time. If she doesn't want to spend a week with the mum, she should be ultimately, what the end goal was, what it should have been, was my daughter's old enough now to freely go between 2 households. She's old enough to travel on a bus by herself. She travels everywhere by herself. And that's what it should have been. But even though, and that lasted for about 3 months, if that. And my daughter will continually be getting a hard time off. My daughter will continually get a hard time off her mum. So if I send something to the house, it'll get put straight in the bin. If my name gets mentioned, fireworks. If anything happens, it's awful. So my daughter would get punished through spending time with me, and I don't mean punished as in beaten up or locked in a room. She wouldn't get given the things that she'd want. I.e., when you're a teenager, you want materialistic stuff. You want your trainers, you want your labels, you want this, you want that, and that's what she'd get punished with. She wouldn't get given the things that she's asking for. And I don't believe in. I'll give my daughter everything she wants. Don't get me wrong. If I've got it, she can have it. But she has to do well on. She has to do well at school. There's stuff like that she has to do well on. But ultimately, I didn't want her to be stuck in the middle. I didn't want her to be having to choose between her mum and me, and then be stuck in the middle like Elastic Armstrong. She's doing really well. I made the difficult decision back in 2020 when I said to her, before the final court here, before we even got the shared care order, I said to her, if she doesn't want to come and see me, because I was living in Watford at the time, I said, if she doesn't want to come and see me, then your friends and everything are down in where she lives, and I'm up this way. If you don't want to come and see me, you don't have to. Don't feel like you have to. So she didn't. Then lockdown happened, and I was traveling backwards and forwards to see her every Sunday. That got in the way of things a little bit, but I made her mind up for her. I said to her she didn't have to come and see me if she didn't want to, and that made her life easier. She's been able to focus on school. She's been able to speak to me daily. I want to go and see her. We will organise going to see her, but then I miss her greatly. I do, and I see how well she's doing. I see how well she's doing, and I'm grateful that she's doing really well, because she probably wouldn't be doing that well if I was like, oh, stick to the court order, stick to the court order, stick to the court order. We need to stick to the court order. If I was doing that, then she wouldn't be doing so well at school. And she is doing absolutely brilliant at school. She's doing English. She's doing really well at. In fact, she's one of the best in English. In fact, she's smashing it. And business, and the things that she's smashing it on are the things that I've coached with her and taught her and that sort of stuff. So the value of being a dad, even though I am not in her life directly as much as I would like, as much as what the court order says, I'm able to influence her through doing through parenting the way I'm parenting. That way, it keeps her able to do what she's doing at school, keeps her happy, and I'm not over the moon by the fact that I'm not getting to spend time with her physically as much as I'd like. But then that's what I want. That's not what's in her best interest. Does that make sense? So when you're in family court, it is about what's in the child's best interest. And if you can't do what's in your child's best interest, then you're not going to win. And when you are going through the family court process, it's almost like it's a battle. You're battling your ex-partner through it. You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to lose, and it's like you're losing a battle. It's a case that you're losing a battle, but then you're forgetting about the children. How old is she? She's 15. She's in year 11. She's 15. She's 15 now. So she's doing her GCSEs next year. So she's in year 10. She's on a mock GCSEs this year, and she's doing GCSEs next year. So yeah, that's how old she is. So I know that she sent messages today. She's put a bookshelf up in her room. She's sending that sort of stuff. She spoke to me yesterday. She would not be achieving what she's achieving if I was being more rigid on the court order, and if I was going back to court. I promised her in 2020 that I would not be making no more applications to court. Well, as mum generally takes me to court, because it would be a mum that stops contact. But I said to the judge last time, I'm not coming back to court ever again. I said to social services in the summer of 2020. The summer of 2020, it was actually it all feels the same. Summer of 2020, when shit all started going down, Lila said my daughter said she wanted to live with me. My ex emptied up her bedroom, packed it all up in plastic bags, took it all out, put it all into the shed or the garage or whatever, and said, "Go on then, fuck off, go live with your dad. You want to go live with your dad? Go on, let him replace all this stuff." So that's how my ex loves her daughter. My ex loves my daughter, and I know for the fact that she does. But she has different ways of showing her love, if that makes sense. Yeah, she shows love in materialistic things, whereas I show love in more empathetically, I suppose, and more emotionally than what I do with materialistic things. I think that's important. But then my daughter has taken the best parts of her mum, and then she's taken the best parts of me, and then she's building them all into being her own little person. And I know that as she gets older, I'm getting more and more time, because she can see children are not stupid, right? When they are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old and they're being passed around like a little trophy, Words of affirmation versus gifts. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I think that's about a fair thing to say. Words of affirmation versus gifts. Yeah, I think that's about fair. I think that's fair. But when your kids are 4 or 5, well, probably depends. When you're going through a breakup, you got to think. When you're going through a breakup, it hurts you, right? You're hurting. You're breaking. You're broken. You've lost everything. As a man, you're taking away your purpose. You find your purpose. I never had a well. Look, I've got a couple of I've got a couple of children from before Lila. One's 20 odd and one's, I don't know, 18, 19. And they are they don't know I exist. One denies that I'm even the father, and the other one doesn't even know I exist, which is fine. Well, it's not fine. I feel bad for that because I was younger. But when Lila was born, Lila was the one that I thought, you know what, I'm around for this, and she changed me. She changed me, if that makes sense. And it doesn't mean to say that I wasn't changed before. I was never with the other kids. It's different situations. But the reality is, that was my purpose. Lila gave me my purpose. I was like, I'm a dad. This is it, and this is it. So I changed. I changed dramatically who I was, because before Lila was born, I was taking cocaine. Massive. Look, my nose is even fucked because it's different shape nostrils because of my cocaine usage when I was younger. I was working doing recruitment, and I was taking like £100 on cocaine a day, and that's how I met my ex-wife. And we were both taking it together, and everything was magical, but it wasn't really magical. It was rubbish. We were arguing like anything, and the relationship was based on sex, and that was it. And the sex was great because we were taking cocaine. After she got pregnant, and I stopped, and I sobered up, and I stopped doing the cocaine. I stopped doing it. I fell off the wagon once or twice through the breakup, going through the courts and whatnot. But it's not something that I would. If I was at a party now, if someone offered me a line, I'd probably take it. I'm probably more onto life now. I can live life without the need of alcohol, without the need of drugs. If that's where I'm at in life now. And I think going through the motions I've gone through in life, earlier this year, I went and met someone I went to school with, and she's a beautiful person and she's lovely and whatnot. But she's where I was 10 years ago, and she's the same age as me. So it's like, I've done things and I've got through life and I've achieved stuff, and I'm where I'm at. And this is no discredit or not putting anyone down or discrediting anybody, because life is a journey that everyone has to go on, and everyone's at their own places at their own times, going through their own shit. And when you are able to look at it like that, and I'm able to look at it, and I know the people who troll me are hurting. I know they're angry. I know they're upset, whether they're upset with themselves or whether they're upset with the situation, but they're taking it out on me. I'm not the person they should be taken out on. They should be taking it out on themselves. But because they're not self-aware, and they don't, and it's a narcissistic trait, whether they're a narcissist or not, it's a narcissistic trait that they'd much rather not look at themselves and not see the world from anybody else's eyes other than their own. They can't envisage what they've done wrong. It's someone else's problem. Someone else is to blame. So you're not seeing your kids because you're fucking touching your kids, or you're in a relationship with someone who was, the ex-partner who was 14 when you first started having sexual relations with them, and you were like 20. Do you know what I mean? That's something. That's an issue. That's a problem. Yeah, and that is a problem. So that's not my fault. That's a you issue. That's the client issue. And if I didn't know about it, I wouldn't take it. I would not have taken cases on knowing that, if that was the case. Do you know what I mean? So that isn't a me thing, but you want to take it out on me because you can't look it out on anybody else's viewpoint. That's fine. But when you're in court, and then we go back to this is a big thing, right? So don't underestimate this. People criticize me and say, you've given up on your daughter and blah blah blah. No, I've not given up on my daughter. I have put my daughter's needs before my own. Yeah, seeing her smile, making sure that she goes to school, making sure that she's happy, making sure that she's achieving stuff, making sure she's got the best chance in life is what we give birth to children for. I have no doubt. In fact, I do know for sure, the 20-year-old has probably had a better quality of life than what I had. She had, I know the person who was pretty much bringing her up for the first 8 to 10 years of her life, and I'm friends with him, and he looked out for her, that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I know that she's had the best opportunities that she could. Things haven't been perfect for her, but still better than my upbringing. And then the other one, I'm not too sure, but I've seen photo, and she seems that she seems to be doing okay. So people, the children that I've parented or not parented, but given I'm the father of, have all had better upbringings than what I've had, and I'm particularly proud of what Lila's doing because I've been part of it. And I think when we go into court battles, we forget about the importance of the child and we make it all about ourselves. And I don't say things easily when it comes to I've got a couple of clients where I'm saying to them when they're talking to me and talking to me and they're telling me what they want, but what they want is what they want, not what the child wants. And that's the issue. And then when you're talking about what you want, and because it's so difficult, it's so painful to say, right, I'm not going to go and see my daughter because my daughter does want to see me, but she's in a difficult situation. Why would I let my conflict between my ex-wife impact my daughter? And even though I have no conflict towards her, I have no hate towards her, but she has towards me. But that makes me part of the problem. So I have to do what I can to minimize it. And that's the harsh reality. That doesn't mean it's fair, doesn't mean it's right, but it's just what it is. And when you go into court with the basic behavioural principles that you all have that I've put a trademark on now, which is good, which is own your shit, be humble, show sacrifice, offer compromise, prepare to be pragmatic, and remain child focused. Taking child focus to another level. These are the things that you need when you're going through family court. You don't need a solicitor. You just need to follow those behaviours, follow those principles at particular moments in time throughout the case, and you'll end up with a more successful outcome than what you will do if you're going in there doing what the far right say, or it's not right. Yeah, it isn't right. Yeah, as a man going through family court, it's stacked against you. You're a man for starters, and how you conduct yourself will impact the outcome. 97% of men are guilty of abuse. That's a statistic that you can't get away from. So being aware of that and then going into court saying that you're not guilty of any abuse, full stop. I'm not being funny, but judges will educate you and you end up going on courses. So without even realizing, subconsciously, you will be, whether it's reactive abuse or whether it's intentional abuse, you will have been an abusive. If you've ended a relationship and it's toxic, and it's not even toxic, but you've ended it and you're falling out with each other, there will be abuse that you've committed, intentionally or unintentionally, to your ex-partner, and thus, therefore, to your children as well. So if you've got conflict going on and you've argued with your ex-partner in front of your children or around your children, or even if they've been in a different room, but they can pick up the atmosphere and pick up the vibe, you've been abusive towards your children. Your children are victims of domestic abuse. That's the law, and that's the law as it is. So we can either accept that or we can battle it and say, oh, not sure about that. I'm a bit innocent still. I'm a bit innocent. She made me do it. She made me do it. Or he made me do it. He made me. Regardless, for me, you go into family court, any issues start with you, they end with you. Own your shit. You're going to end up with a much more, the judges are going to be much more nice with you. They're going to be showing, the other side will not take any responsibility for nothing. There's very few people in this world that can own their shit effectively. When you're working with me, you learn to own your shit because it's invigorating. It's refreshing, and you have a clear conscience. And I think in some ways that's why I've been able now, since owning my shit, since fucking just being out, you know what, I fucked up here, fucked up there. I don't drink anymore. I don't feel the need to take drugs anymore. If I do any of the two, it's because I want to, not because I'm trying to fucking deal with my negative feelings or beating myself up. That's the reality. That's the beautiful thing about owning your shit. When you're owning your shit, you clear your whole conscience of anything, and you can say, do you know what, I fucked up here. Do you know what? Yeah, I've learned from it. If you don't like me for the back of it, don't like me. Fine. I can live with myself. I've cleared my shit. I've apologized, and I'm a human being. Not one person in this world, ever, anywhere, can say they've not made a mistake, ever. Not one person. So no one has the right to judge you. No one has the right to judge me. No one has the right to judge anyone. The only person that we judge is ourselves. But there are people out there who like to go around putting their opinions on people and pointing their fingers and saying this person's bad, that person's bad, that person's bad. These people are suffering from trauma themselves and are hiding stuff themselves, because that's why they have to go around projecting for other people. Psychology teaches you that. That's why I'm sort of, my tolerance level for them is there, and I've tolerated so much now for the last 3 years, and I think when I lose clients because of it, maybe the client wasn't worth having in the first place. But when I lose clients off the back of it, I get a little bit pissed off. I'm like to myself, do these people just literally wake up in the morning and think to themselves, how can I just go and get Jason today? Rather than looking at me and being negative towards me, because if you're being negative towards me, people not towards any, you're being negative towards anybody. Your vibrations that you're giving out, the vibrations that you're giving, you're only going to attract negative things back to you. Yeah, so you vibrate love, you give love, you will get positive things coming back. Just how it is. And it may not be straight away, and it may not be in a month or a year or whatever it might be. But that's why I know that one day, sooner or later, I know where I'm going. I know what journey I'm on, which is why it's important that I own my shit and make sure that I don't believe in I don't think if I believe in God. Yeah, maybe I do believe in God now. Maybe I do. I believe in aliens. I believe the world is flat. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not God? Yeah, why not? Why? But then, if that is the case, I saw something the other day. Maybe we're all just, maybe the moon, right? The aliens are in the moon, and they're watching everything that we're doing, and we're part of like the Sims thing. Who knows? Who knows? And that's a different thing altogether. But look, if you're looking to be a McKenzie friend and you need some support and you need some help and guidance in doing that, I offer a course that does that. Will help you go through being a McKenzie friend. If you need help in family court, then I'm a McKenzie friend, and that's one of my titles. I can help you through that shit. If you need help just doing a statement, and if you need help just doing your paperwork, or just a little bit of guidance, I can help you with that. I've got online courses available for Kafkas, which is £47. That's going to be going down to £7 though, just for January, I think. So you just need help with Kafkas. There's courses available for that. And I'm going to be remarketing stuff to be doing coaching. So dad coaching, parent coaching, whatever you want to call it, parental alienation coaching, post-separation divorce coaching, post-family court coaching. I've not got a title for it yet, but I will be doing that shit too. So that's it, really. I've not done a live for a few days, for a few months now. I've been too busy to do it. And I had a comment that I saw on my YouTube thing earlier, so I thought I'd just do that today. And this is the difficulties of being a McKenzie friend with a big heart. Yeah, and people mistake. That's the other thing. People mistake my big heart and my silence and my tolerance for being weak. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, because I'm not weak at all. Literally, I'm invincible. That's the reality. And generally, with the positive outlook on life and the beliefs that I have, if I believe something and I believe what I believe, and I believe that people are this and whatever, and if I believe, that's how most of our outcomes come, because we believe what's going to happen. What you believe, you will achieve, and that's facts. Especially if you're owning your shit, being pragmatic, showing sacrifice, offering compromise, being humble, doing all those stuff. You're going to then take it to the next level, and it's going to be well, remaining child focused. And when I say child focused, you have to go to the next level, being child focused. And look, little hint for you, before I go, right? If you accept any court order, right? If you accept it, you say, well, it may not be the court order that you want, may not be the court order that you want as an outcome, but if you accept it and the other person doesn't comply with it, then you have to go and enforce it. That's going to put you on the front foot. So rather than arguing with what you don't have, take what you've got, let the other person fuck it up, and then go back to court and enforce it, and then you're going to be on the front foot. Likewise, you have to lose the expectation of them fucking up. Now you know that they'll fuck up, but you can't go into court saying they're going to fuck up. So you have to go into court, wiping. You get to a certain point in all hearings, all family court hearings, you'll get to this point where it's the judge won't want to hear anything about the past. They won't want to hear it at all. All they want to hear is about the future. So if you go into that to court with that approach from the very beginning, own your shit and that sort of stuff. And this is where I come in. This is what I do that no one else does. Yeah, I can tell you what's going to happen on each hearing, and what the courts and what the judges are going to want to hear, see, and feel. They won't, and trust me, they have ways. I was kicked out of a court case. I believe I was kicked out of the court case because they knew that I was holding this person together. They got me out of that court case, and that person went to shit. Yeah, because the judges want to know, the courts want to know if they're dealing with a genuine, real person. Because it's very easy for people to put masks on for an hour-long hearing, a 2-day hearing, a 3-day hearing, interviews with Kafkas, whatever that shit. And that's why the psychology is really important, because they will prod you and poke you and do things to make you react in a way that they can say, "Oh, see, you're still that same person. See, you're still a wanker. Still this, still that, whatever else." So you literally have to change who you are in your soul in order for you to have a successful outcome. If you're a dick and you can't see that and can't do that and don't want to change and think that everyone else is the issue, not you, then you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be willing to accept that you're not perfect. No one's perfect, but still, no one has the right to judge you. And if you say you're not perfect and you can see you're not perfect, then you can change, because you can say to yourself, and this is something that I've started doing. I'm shit at managing myself. I'm shit at working for myself, right? So I've started writing letters to myself. I've started literally writing letters. I can give really good advice. I can give good advice to other people. I can say, "Yeah, don't do that." Blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes to me giving myself good advice, I'm like, "Oh, fuck that, don't worry about it." So I write myself my own letters now. So I write myself a letter as if I am giving someone else advice. And that, again, helps me get to where I'm going to, because I know I'm not perfect. I know that there's things that I do wrong that maybe I could do better at. But not everyone does that. Not everyone seems to live in a world where it's always somebody else's issue. It's always somebody else's fault. If people started living in the world of problems start and finish with me, the issues end and start and finish with me, and then if there's a problem, you can fix it. If someone doesn't like something you say or do, you can apologize, make sure you don't upset that person again, and then you move on. If they don't want to talk to you off the back of it, they're not going to be coming to your funeral anyway. Are they going to be worried when you're dead? And this is the other thing. Are they worried about you? Right, so even if they did come to your funeral, even if they did come to your funeral, would they remember you in 2 years' time after you're dead? Would they remember you in 4 years' time once you're dead? 5 years' time once you're dead? No, they wouldn't. In fact, very few people would. So why worry about it? If you can say sorry to somebody and you can say, "Do you know what, I fucked up there. Didn't mean to fucking make that mistake. This is genuine, heartfelt, honest mistake. I'm sorry." And if they can't accept it, they're not worth worrying about anyway. Maybe it's because I've spent so long alone, and not alone, but in relationships. But I'm happy alone now. But since a young age, been moved, like, not I've been a lone soldier, a lone wolf, I suppose you could say. And as difficult as it is being that way, I'd much rather be comfortable in my own skin, in my own company, because I'm in for a period of my life where I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. I was scared to be alone. So I always had to have a girlfriend, that's what it was. I always had to have a girlfriend. And then I went from one girlfriend to another girlfriend to another, and I was like, let's split up, a year, 2 years, whatever. And now, I'm not saying women are bad, because they're not. I wish I had a girlfriend. I do wish I had a girlfriend that I loved and that loved me. But I have certain standards now that I didn't have before. And because I've got those standards, and I see too many red flags whenever I go out dating or whatever, I'm like, it's better off being single. And then when the right person comes along, Like, my priority right now is not being with somebody. My priority is if I'm being honest, is being financially abundant. That's my goal. I want to leave a legacy for my daughter. I want to leave a legacy for people. I want to change how people go through family court. I want to change how what is seen as normal going through family court. Because if you go through family court with my behavioural blueprint, you're going to have a more increased chance of success than what you will do going through family court the way other people advise you to. And that's what I want to change. That's my goal, and I want to positively impact people's lives through supporting them go through family court in a way that is different to other people going through family court. But you take this awful experience, this awful fucking experience of family court, and you turn it into a positive thing, and it makes you stronger. It makes you bigger. Fuck everyone else. It makes you stronger. Like literally, there's cases I've got going on. There's service users I've got now, and my heart goes out to them because they're going through shit now. Are you sure it's going to be okay? And I can see what's going to happen because I've seen stuff like this before, and it's going to be fine. But what they don't understand, when you're going through the most difficult time of like this, like you're going through, once you get through it, you will be able to take anything on. And even this guy I was like speaking to, you're saying his tolerance level's gone up because you've gone through so much shit that you're like, you know what, I've gone through that, I can get through anything. I've gone through so much shit in my life. I'm not saying it's worse. I mean, in fact, I know, I'm 100% certain that the majority of the world have gone through more difficult times than what I have. And I don't say this out because I want people's sympathy. I just say it how it is. But in my view, things could have been a little bit different, a little bit easier. But I think there's people who are in war-torn countries. There's people who are going through some awful shit in the world, right? And the world's a shit place, don't get me wrong. But we, as people, seem to think that everything is stacked against us. But we need to somehow take every single negative thing that happens to us, see it as a lesson, learn from it. And that doesn't mean you're not going to make the same mistake twice, 3 times, 4 times. I'm rubbish. I've got so many flaws. It's unbelievable. But you have to literally take your time and be the best you can be, comparing yourself to yourself and comparing yourself to the day before. And if you can do that and try it and better yourself each time, by the time you get out of the awful situation, family court, nothing will faze you. Nothing. I have people like threaten me, and some guy, a service user, come around to where I'm at now, and they wanted to see where I was living and shit, and it was like, oh, I don't do things as well. I don't deal with police. I do this with. He starts threatening me. I'm like, all right, you're 5 times the size of me. Like, you built like a brick shit house, but I'm still not scared of you. In fact, I know, because I know I'm invincible, and you could probably try and kill me, and you'd probably end up hurting yourself more. But anyway, I've got stuff to go on with, and that's the difficulties of being a McKenzie friend. Now, other than those bits, it's lovely because in the majority of cases, for me anyway at least, things go positively. And that's a beautiful thing. But I will also leave you with the last one. We always go into court wanting 50-50. Always go. I went in and said I wanted to live in my house. My next can move out of the house. Blah, blah, blah. Little did I know how these things work. When you're going into court asking for 50-50, why is it you want 50-50? Can you provide 50-50? Were you with your children 50% of the time in the first place? I'm living proof, and this is why I'm turning my stuff into coaching as well. I can guide people through making sure that they have a fantastic relationship with their daughter or their son or their children without it being 50-50, while taking on or tolerating or dealing with a potentially narcissistic ex-partner who is doing anything they can do to ruin your life and make sure you don't have a relationship with your child or children. And if you follow the correct steps that I've done, you can still have a fantastic relationship with your children. That doesn't mean it won't hurt you. It doesn't mean you won't cry. It doesn't mean you won't wake up in the morning calling out your children's names, or like I do every morning, nearly wake up, Lila, it's not here. So that doesn't mean that won't happen, because it will happen. It does happen. But your children's happiness and your children's success will bring you more happiness than what it will do you're just having that short-term dopamine fix of seeing your child. And yeah, you need to see your children. But this can only work when you've got a decent court order for the first 10 years of their life, up until like 7 to 10 years old. There's things you can do after that, but I'm speaking from the people that I've helped, the people I help, and my own personal experiences. You need to have at least every other weekend, and half the school holidays and that sort of shit, to better make sure that you can have the relationship you want with your children when they get into the later years, like teenage years and 12, 13, because they mature quicker, because they're going through the breakup, they're going through the family breakup, the mum and dad have separated, the only thing they know in the world. They are going through as difficult time as what you're going through. How you deal with that and how you relate to them with that in a child-focused, appropriate way will determine the relationship you have with them in the future. Because if I haven't done the things that I've done with Lila, I guarantee you, I've seen it happen with other parents, dads, my actions would have pushed my daughter away from me. By giving away and letting that come back, that's how I've ended up doing the benefits I've got with my daughter now. So yeah, that's that. That was my thing. Thanks for those that are watching. Thanks for the kind words. If you need support, give me a shout. Email addresses everywhere, phone numbers everywhere, and yeah, I'm available. And I'd be happy to help. So peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. Love you all. To those who love me, at least, and those who don't love me, well, I love you too, because I know you're hurting, and if there's anything I can do to stop you from hurting, other than break you out of prison or put you in prison, all that sort of shit, I can't do that stuff. But I'm always happy to help, and always happy to support, and always happy to just fucking listen. And that includes the people who my door's always open to, even to those that that think or have been trolling me, or whatever. I don't hold grudges. Yeah, peace and love. Lila's glove.